Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into Canada's global talent stream.
Oh, this should be interesting.
Yeah, it looks pretty fascinating. We've got some great sources lined up today.
Okay, sounds good.
Official info from Canada.ca and Employment and Social Development Canada.
So straight from the source,
Exactly, plus some insights from canadvisa.com.
the immigration law experts.
Yeah, so we'll get a good overview of how Canada is trying to attract all this global tech talent.
It's really interesting how Canada is positioning itself to get all this global talent.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's just start with what exactly is the global talent stream?
The GTS.
Yeah, the GTS.
Uh-huh.
It's part of their temporary foreign worker program, right?
Right, but it's like a fast track
Oh, okay.
for employers who want to hire these really skilled tech workers from all over the world.
Okay.
And it's divided into two categories, A and B.
So from what I saw in the sources, it seems like category A is for these high growth companies looking for the top people.
The unicorn.
Yeah, exactly. Like the really unique and specialized talent.
Yeah, and to access category A, they need a referral
Oh.
from a designated partner.
Huh.
And there's a lot of different kinds of partners.
Okay.
Economic development agencies, industry groups,
Oh, wow.
even international trade commissioners.
Okay, so it's a pretty broad approach.
Yeah, it's very strategic how they're going about this.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so then what's category B?
So category B is more for those in-demand, highly specialized roles
Okay.
that are really essential for Canada's tech sector to grow.
Okay.
And they actually have a list of all these roles,
Oh, interesting.
the Global Talent Occupations list. And
Okay.
it's got everything on it.
Really?
Data scientists, cybersecurity specialists, software developers,
Wow.
even really specific roles like visual effects producers.
Mhm.
It's really comprehensive.
And I noticed on that list that they actually specify minimum salary requirements for each role.
Right.
What's that about?
Well, it's to make sure that everything is fair
Okay.
and that they're attracting the best people.
Makes sense.
So employers have to pay what they call the prevailing wage.
Uh-huh.
So at least what Canadians would get paid for the same job.
Okay.
And they calculate this in a few different ways.
Okay.
So they take into account the median wage for the occupation,
Uh-huh.
the wage that the employer offers their existing employees,
Oh, okay.
and then also that minimum on the global talent occupations list.
So they're kind of getting it from all sides.
Yeah, to make sure that it's fair for everyone.
And that foreign workers aren't getting paid less and Canadians aren't getting undercut.
Exactly. It's all about balance.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing that really surprised me was that the sources mentioned a 2-week processing time for work permits.
I know, right?
2 weeks?
Super fast.
Especially with immigration, that's unheard of.
Well, Canada wants to make this as efficient as possible.
Okay.
They get that things move fast in tech.
Right.
Companies can't be waiting months for people to get there.
So that gives them a huge advantage over other countries.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about speed, though, right?
Right.
They've also got things in place so that all this talent coming in helps Canada
Yep.
and Canadian workers.
Ah.
That's where this labor market benefits plan comes in.
The LMBP.
Yeah, the LMBP.
Yep, that's a key part of this whole thing.
Okay, so what is it?
It's like a contract
Okay.
where companies say, okay, we'll create some benefits for Canada and its workers.
Uh-huh.
And in exchange, we can bring in these global workers.
Okay, cool. And so there are different requirements for Category A and Category B, right?
You got it.
So for Category A, the companies that are looking for those really unique people,
Yeah.
those high-growth companies,
Uh-huh.
they need to focus on creating jobs for Canadians and permanent residents.
Right. It's about making sure that when they bring in this global talent,
Yeah.
it leads to more jobs for Canadians.
So they're not just filling the positions from outside.
Exactly. They want to help grow the economy and create opportunities for Canadians.
Got it.
That's the idea.
Interesting. So they're using global talent to make more jobs in Canada.
Yep. They're trying to boost their tech sector in a big way.
That's really smart.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so then what about Category B?
So for category B,
Yeah.
the companies that are going after these very specific in-demand occupations,
Yeah.
their focus is more on investing in skills and training for Canadians and permanent residents.
Ah, so upskilling the Canadian workforce.
Exactly.
Okay.
To get them ready for all the changes happening in tech.
So it could be professional development mentorship programs or partnerships with schools.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a great way to make sure Canadians can compete in this really fast-changing industry.
You got it.
So it's not just filling those open jobs right now, it's making sure Canadians are ready for the future.
That's the goal.
Wow. Okay, so on top of these mandatory benefits,
Mm-hmm.
the companies also have to choose 2 complementary benefits.
Right.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. Because there are so many different options.
There are.
So the companies can kind of pick what works best for them.
Yeah, for their goals.
Okay, like what? What are some examples?
So one example is a mentorship program
Okay.
for newcomers to the tech sector
Oh, cool.
to help them get settled and learn the ropes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not just about filling a job. It's about supporting people,
Right.
making sure everyone feels welcome in the tech industry.
That's a really great initiative.
It is.
And it seems like these complementary benefits are encouraging companies to go above and beyond.
Definitely, it pushes them to be more than just employers.
Yeah.
They're actually helping to shape the future of tech in Canada.
Right. And there's accountability too, right?
Yes. ESDC, the government department that runs all this,
Uh-huh.
they check up on the companies
Okay.
to make sure they're actually doing what they promised.
So it's not just a bunch of empty promises.
Not at all.
Right.
They're serious about this.
That's good to know.
It shows how important it is to them.
To Canada,
Yeah, to get this right and make sure it's beneficial for everyone.
not just the companies.
Not just the companies, for the whole Canadian workforce.
I see. So going back to the global talent occupations list,
Uh-huh.
I was really struck by how specific some of the roles are. We're
Yeah.
talking about really specialized positions.
In some cutting-edge fields.
Exactly, like data science, cybersecurity, even visual effects production.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like Canada is saying, we need these specific skills.
That's a great point. It's very strategic,
Yeah, like they're really targeting these key areas.
where they need expertise.
Exactly, because they see those as critical for growth and innovation.
Exactly. And by making it easy for people to come to Canada
Right.
and offering good salaries,
Uh-huh.
they're showing that they're serious about being a global leader
Sure.
in all these key tech areas.
And what about those work permit exemptions?
Oh, yeah.
You know, for some of those highly skilled workers.
They're top talent.
Like the best software engineers, they can work in Canada for up to 30 days without even needing a permit.
That's right.
It seems like that's another way to attract people.
For sure, it shows that they're open to different ways of working.
Right.
You know, short-term projects, consultations,
Yeah.
things like that.
So they can get these experts in for a specific project without all the hassle.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. Okay, but it makes me wonder, if Canada is attracting all this global talent,
Yeah.
what does it mean for Canadian workers?
Right.
Are they worried about losing jobs?
That's a question a lot of people have,
Yeah, it makes sense.
and it's an important one.
So how does this program address those concerns?
Well, a big part of it is the LMBP,
Okay.
with the focus on creating jobs and developing skills.
Uh-huh.
But that's not all.
Okay.
Remember, employers have to pay the prevailing wage.
Yeah.
So they're not bringing in people to pay less than Canadians.
Okay.
It's a level playing field.
That's really important.
It is.
And the government is keeping an eye on all of this, right?
Oh, yeah, they're watching closely.
To see how it's impacting Canadian workers.
Exactly. They're always evaluating and making changes if they need to.
So it's not just set in stone.
No, it's a dynamic system
Always adapting.
to the needs of the economy and the global talent landscape.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
But it seems like they're managing it well.
So far, so good.
It's impressive how they're approaching this whole thing.
Yeah, they're really thinking it through.
They're not ignoring the potential problems.
Right.
They're actively working to create a system that works for everyone.
That's the goal.
Wow. Okay, but let's go back to something you said earlier
Sure.
about the global talent occupations list.
Okay.
You mentioned that it might show us what Canada's priorities are in the tech sector.
Right.
So what do you think? What are they focusing on?
Well, if you look at the list,
Okay.
there's a big emphasis on data science,
Mm-hmm.
artificial intelligence,
Huh.
cybersecurity, and software development.
Interesting.
These are areas that are in high demand all over the world,
Yeah, for sure.
and they're also key for innovation and economic growth.
It seems like Canada is trying to be a leader in all these areas.
Absolutely. They're building a talent pipeline for the future,
Wow.
focusing on the skills that will be important in the years to come.
And this ties in with the labor market benefits plan.
Right.
Because they're making companies invest in skills development and knowledge transfer.
Exactly.
So Canadians are ready to participate in this whole new tech world.
It's about creating a cycle
Okay.
where attracting global talent
Yeah.
doesn't just fill jobs right now,
Uh-huh.
but it also helps to create a culture of learning and innovation
For everyone.
for everyone. Exactly.
Wow, this deep dive has been really eye-opening.
It has.
We've learned how the GTS works,
Yeah.
the good and the bad,
Uh,
and even the strategy behind it all.
it's fascinating.
But before we wrap up, I want to ask you one more thing. We've talked about the LMBP
Mhm.
from the perspective of the companies and the Canadian workforce.
Right.
But what about the foreign workers themselves?
Oh, that's a good question.
What are they thinking about when they decide to move to Canada?
Well, of course, they're thinking about their careers
Yeah.
and getting paid well,
Uh-huh.
but it's more than that.
What else?
Well, Canada has a reputation for being inclusive.
Right.
Their immigration policies are pretty welcoming,
Okay.
and the quality of life is high.
Makes sense.
Plus, let's not forget about work-life balance.
Yeah, Canada is known for that,
It's a big draw for a lot of people.
especially people who are maybe overworked in their own countries.
Absolutely.
Wow, so it's a pretty good package overall.
It is.
Canada is using its strength to attract the best people from all over the world.
It's a smart strategy.
It really is. This has been a fascinating look at Canada's global talent stream.
Yes.
We've learned so much about how it works,
Yeah,
what its goals are, and how it's impacting the tech industry in Canada.
for sure.
And it makes you think about the future of work,
Absolutely.
the competition for talent,
Yeah,
and how immigration changes a country.
it's a big topic.
It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
And don't forget to check out the show notes for links and more information.
Great idea.
Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and as always, happy learning.
I will see you later.
So for Category B,
Yeah,
it's all about making sure Canadians have the skills they need
right.
to stay competitive in this crazy tech world.
Yeah, it's changing so fast.
I know, it's nuts. So these companies are like investing in their workers.
Exactly. Giving them the tools they need to succeed.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so
One-
on top of all that,
Wow.
they have to choose 2 more benefits.
Right. These are called complementary
For
benefits.
complementary benefits, okay.
And this is where things get kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah, how so?
Well, there are a lot of different options.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so one company decided to create a mentorship program
Okay.
specifically for people who are new to the tech sector in Canada.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
It's a great way to help them get settled
Yeah.
and learn from people who have been in the industry for a while.
So it's not just about giving them a job.
Right.
It's about making them feel welcome.
And supported. Exactly.
That's really cool.
I think so too.
And it seems like these complementary benefits are encouraging companies to be more creative,
Yeah, to think outside the box.
to do more than just the bare minimum.
Exactly. To really contribute to the Canadian tech community.
That's awesome. And there's oversight too, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
ESDC is making sure these companies are actually following through.
They do annual reviews.
So it's not just talk,
Nope. They're holding them accountable.
which is good.
They're very good.
It shows that Canada is serious about making this work.
Definitely. It's a priority for them.
Okay, so let's go back to that global talent occupations list for a second.
Oh.
It really stood out to me how specific some of those roles are.
Yeah, they're very specialized.
Like, they know exactly what they're looking for. We're
Right.
talking about things like data science, cybersecurity, visual effects production.
Cutting edge stuff.
Exactly. It's almost like they're saying, we need these skills to build our future.
And they're willing to go out and get them.
That's smart. And by offering competitive salaries and making the process easy,
Yeah.
they're sending a message to the world
What message?
that Canada is a serious player in the global tech game.
Definitely, they're competing for the best talent.
And then there are those work permit exemptions.
Oh, yeah.
For some of the top people in their field.
Like those high-level software engineers?
They can work in Canada for a month without even getting a permit.
It's true.
It's like they're saying, come and try it out, see if you like it here.
It's a smart move. It shows flexibility.
And it makes it easier to get those experts for short-term projects
Exactly.
without all the paperwork.
It's a win-win.
But it makes you wonder,
What's that?
with all this global talent coming in,
Yeah.
what happens to Canadian workers?
It's a valid concern.
Like, are they going to lose their jobs?
Some people worry about that.
So how does this program address those concerns?
Well, the LMBP is a big part of it,
Okay.
with the focus on job creation and skills development.
Right.
But it's not the only thing.
Okay. Well.
Or remember, employers have to pay the prevailing wage.
Right.
So they can't just bring in someone and pay them less than a Canadian.
That's important.
It keeps things fair.
So everyone is on a level playing field.
Exactly.
And the government is keeping track of all of this.
Oh, yeah. They're watching closely.
To see how it's all affecting the Canadian workforce.
And they're ready to make changes if they need to.
So it's a dynamic system.
Very much so.
Always evolving.
To meet the needs of the economy and the global talent landscape.
It's really impressive how Canada is handling this.
I think so, too. It's a complex issue,
But they're being proactive.
trying to find solutions that work for everyone.
That's really cool. Okay, so let's go back to that global talent occupations list one more time.
Sure.
You mentioned that it might reveal Canada's priorities in the tech sector.
Right.
What do you think they're focusing on based on that list?
Well, if you look closely,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see a lot of emphasis on data science, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and software development.
Interesting.
Those are some of the hottest areas in tech right now.
And they're driving a lot of innovation.
Exactly.
It seems like Canada is trying to position itself as a leader in all of those fields.
They're building for the future.
Wow, and this ties back into the labor market benefits plan.
How so?
Well, they're making companies invest in skills development and knowledge transfer.
Right.
So Canadians can be a part of this future too.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it's like attracting global talent creates this ripple effect
Exactly.
where everyone benefits.
That's the idea.
That's amazing. This deep dive has been so insightful.
It has been.
We've learned so much about the global talent stream,
How it works,
the challenges,
the potential.
and the strategy behind it all.
It's a fascinating program.
But before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to get your perspective on one more thing.
Okay, sure.
We've talked about the LMBP from the perspective of companies and Canadian workers.
Right.
But what about the foreign workers themselves?
Oh, interesting.
What are they thinking about when they decide to move to Canada?
Well, obviously, career opportunities are important.
Of course.
And competitive salaries.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than that.
What else?
Well, Canada has a reputation for being inclusive and welcoming,
Right.
and the quality of life is high.
Okay.
Plus, there's that work-life balance that Canada is known for. It's a pretty attractive package overall,
It is. Canada is using its strengths to attract the best and brightest.
and it seems to be working.
It does. This has been a fascinating look at the global talent stream.
It really has.
We've learned so much about how it works, its
Yep.
goals.
And its impact on Canada's tech scene.
It's a really interesting case study.
Of how countries are adapting to the global competition for talent.
Exactly. And it leaves us with a lot to think about.
About the future of work
The role of immigration.
and the global economy.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
But that's what we do here on the Deep Dive.
We dive deep.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
And be sure to check out the show notes for links and more information.
We'll see you next time.
So it's not just about filling jobs today, it's about preparing for tomorrow.
Exactly. It's a long-term strategy.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
I agree.
We've learned how the GTS works, its pros and cons, and the thinking behind it.
Yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive program.
It is, but before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to touch on one more thing.
Sure.
We've talked about the labor market benefits plan from the perspective of companies and Canadian workers.
Right.
But what about the foreign workers?
Oh, that's a good point.
What are they considering when they decide to move to Canada through this program?
Well, career opportunities are a big factor, of course.
Yeah, makes sense.
And competitive salaries.
Of course.
But it's not just about the job.
What else?
Well, Canada is known for being inclusive and welcoming to immigrants.
Right.
And the quality of life is generally very high.
Okay.
Plus, there's that work-life balance that Canada is famous for.
Yeah, they really value that.
It's a big draw for a lot of people.
So it's a pretty attractive package overall.
Yeah.
Because Canada is really using its strengths to attract global talent.
Yeah, they're playing to their advantages.
It's really smart.
Yeah.
This has been a fascinating deep dive into Canada's global talent stream.
It has been a great discussion.
We've learned so much about how it works, its goals, and its impact on the Canadian tech landscape.
Definitely.
It really makes you think about the future of work.
And the global competition for talent.
Yeah, and the role of immigration in shaping a country's economy.
It's a big topic.
It is, but that's what we do here on the Deep Dive.
We dive deep.
We do. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
And be sure to check out the show notes for links and more information.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, stay curious, and as always, happy learning.